Hello everyone, how are you? Hailing a weapon on Season 1, Episode 4 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. The episode opens up with Daryl locked behind a fenced gate. Lucien, the survivor guy that has visions, is surrounded by walkers, but they're not touching him. They just walk right by him like he doesn't exist. And apparently I've been reading online that he is immune to the walker virus. That's why he's so important. That's why Isabel wants to protect him, because apparently, if you think about it, when he was born, his mother had died during the birth, and she was a walker. And so he's still in that room for a little bit. She was a walker, so maybe he is immune to the virus. We don't know, right? Then Daryl wakes up from the dream, and a walker is gnawing at his feet. So he stabs the walker with his knife, swims up to the surface because he was underwater for some reason, and he's in the sewers. And that's where some of the survivors from the warehouse are at, including the old guy, Booker. That's his name. Hard to pronounce. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He said people died. He's not happy that the rebel soldiers found his place. He asks Daryl, "Did you bring them there?" Daryl says, "No, we covered our tracks very good." So the Booker is like, the only other person who knew about that our hideout was Gwen. You find out Gwen, that Isabella's sister's boyfriend, that basically the father of Lucien, had told the rebel soldiers where to go because he knew about that hideout, right? Of the survivors. So Booker takes a group, including the other nun and this guy she's falling in love with and some other people, and they're going to go get some payback on Gwen. And Daryl says, if anybody's seen Lucien and Isabella, and they said that they went the opposite direction. He said, we haven't seen him since. And Daryl says, well, Isabella told me if we ever get separated to meet up at her apartment. So I'll go there and see if she's there. Then we'll meet up again. This was confusing because Daryl went through a rooftop. So how in the hell did he go for a rooftop of a building complex and end up in the water in the sewers? Did someone drag him there? I'm just curious, right? And if they did, why did they put him underneath water? It makes no sense. Like, did he fall all the way through the whole building and land it and get a pool of water? Like a flooded apartment complex, a building complex? It made no sense, the opening. That's what bugged me. Daryl's going through the street, heading to the apartment complex where Isabel said to meet him if they ever got separated. And the pigeon guy is going by on his bike and with his pigeons. Daryl stops him, and the pigeon guy says, well, I'm looking for survivors. He said, we went back to our home, but the rebel soldiers stayed there and killed some of us and took off and took other ones hostage. I got away. And then all of a sudden, a Jeep is driving up the street, chasing the pigeon guy. Daryl hides behind a car, right? And the pigeon guy's saying all this stuff, and the rebel soldier's like, have you seen the American, Daryl? And he starts pointing to where Daryl's at. But it's hard to tell if he's telling him he went that way, up that street, or he's behind that car. And Daryl is hard to tell, too. Like, is this guy selling me out, right? And then one of the rebel soldiers tells the pigeon guy, your pigeon's going to taste good. Then they gut him down, shot him dead. Daryl comes out of his hiding spot, disposes of the two soldiers. The pigeon guy, before he dies, asks Daryl to release his pigeons. So Daryl gets the pigeon cage, opens it up, the pigeons go flying. The pigeon guy helped him open it up. Then Daryl took his mace and made sure he didn't come back as a walker. Then Daryl meets up with Isabella. She's at the apartment. And Daryl says Lucien wasn't with the other survivors, but Booker's gone after Gwen at the club. She says, of course, it had to be Gwen to tell where the soldiers where we were. She said, I don't know where Lucien were gone. And Daryl says, I have a clue, because he's always wanted to visit the Eiffel Tower. Sure enough, they get to the Eiffel Tower. There's Lucien, the other survivor guy with the visions, a.k.a. Isabella's nephew. And he went to the Eiffel Tower to visit it. And, of course, it's surrounded by a herd of walkers. Big fight scene. Daryl's killing walkers with the swinging mace. Isabella's stabbing someone with like a knife that she has attached to the end of her gun. Lucien just hides behind some debris. As they're fighting off the walkers, suddenly this car pulls up and kidnaps Lucien. Now, this part's funny. Throw him in the back of his car. Daryl takes out two of the guys out of the car. The teenage guy could have easily jumped out of that car. nobody was stopping him, and Barry took off because it was the third guy in the driver's seat. So that part was kind of funny. I know that was a mistake right there. Like, he could have easily jumped out. Daryl and Isabella take one of the guys. The other guy gets overrun by walkers, and they start feeding upon him. And they take him to an abandoned building. Daryl interrogates the guy, punches him, kicks him, stabs him in the leg, saying, "Who took him?" And the guy speaks French, right? He's like talking to Isabella, says, "He don't know but you and your wild side, does he?" And Daryl don't know French. Daryl's like, "What's he saying?" Isabella says, "He's making fun of us." And all this. Daryl's, "Oh, is he now?" Starts beating the shit out of him more. That poor guy. The stuff Isabella was saying that he was saying, he wasn't saying that. That poor guy. Finally, he stopped. He said, "He's at the club. He's at the club." Gwen took him. Because that's his son. And he says, "There's a secret way into the club, but it's dangerous. I'll draw you a map." Daryl's like, "Nah, better yet, you're going to take us there." They go into the club, and they meet up with Bakur and the other survivors. There's only a small handful of the 64 that made it out. And Bakur and Daryl decided, we're going to do this, we're going to do it as a unit. So Bakur's group attacks the club's front entrance, right? He sets one guy on fire with a Molotov cocktail. He's pissed, by the way, because his group of survivors have stayed hidden for years from the rebel soldiers, and Gwen sent them to that area, and some of his people died, right? So no wonder he's pissed. He's taking them out left, right, and center, while Gwen and his troops inside the club are dealing with Bakur and his groups attacking them outside. Daryl and the guy he has prisoner goes through a back entrance, and it's down a sewer drain. And here's walkers, and the French guy's like, there's walkers down there in French. Daryl's like, shut up, kicks him down the sewers. That was funny. I laughed my head off. Gets down there, and the French guy tells Daryl, go for that door that leads to a back entrance to the club. So Daryl says, well, he opens up the back door. Sure enough, there's a back entrance to the club. So he lets the walkers basically eat the guy, close the door, and Lucien's there. And Daryl says, you gotta come with us. Isabella wants you back. And he says, well, I'm with my father now, which I didn't know he was my father. And he's offered to protect me and all this. And all of a sudden, Gwen, realizing this is a diversion, goes back into the club. Big fight scene with him and Daryl on top of a scaffolding. They're fighting back and forth. Daryl smashes his face on a metal scaffolding part. The other guy punches Daryl in the guts, uppercuts him. Daryl spears him, knocks him out cold. And then Lucien goes with Daryl. Isabella shows up, and they leave the club. As the group is going down the street and all that, another survivor shows up from the warehouse, and he tells Bakur, the old guy, that the port, the harbor, is being reinforced. Extra soldiers, more walkers. So the old guy says, looks Daryl all that, says, we can't go that direction because it's being heavy fortified. He says, I have something for you. As a thank you to helping us get payback on Gwen. It's a boat, fully gassed up, right? But can only hold 2 people. So Daryl and Lucien take the boat. And this episode ends with them driving off in the river, overlooking some of the scenery of Paris and that, and they're taking off this direction. While the other group is going to attempt to attack the harbor and get on a ship and get away. I think Daryl's going to have a change of heart and go back and help them, I think, is what's going to happen. And then it shows Gwen at the club. He's mad that his son's gone. And the 2 rebel leaders show up. The male and the female. And we find out the male's name is Gunnet and the female's name is Stephanie. And he doesn't say that which way Daryl and them went, because he don't know, right? And they said, just out of curiosity, was Lucien, the guy with the vision, was he here at the club? And Gwen's like, wondering, why do you want to know about my son, right? So he lies and says he wasn't, but they kind of tell like the way hesitant he was. So they tell Quinn to get Lucien back or else. And then you leave the club to go to the harbor to fortify some more. There you have it, folks. From the looks of things of next week's episode of episode 5, it's a flashback episode. Finally going to show us what happened to Daryl when he left Alexandria on the bike leading up to the ship in France. Because from the like the scenes it shows him on a ship. It shows him fighting the ship's captain. It shows him driving through cities that on his motorbikes. I think it's a flashback episode is what I think it is. There you have it, folks. This episode was good. Like I said, the intro was weird because of him going through the rooftop. He's in the water. That, and when Lucy could have easily got out of the car before it took off, that part was funny as hell. Besides that, I did enjoy the episode. And it was nice seeing some walkers. A lot of walkers. Can't wait for episode 5 out of 6. Yes, this season's only announced for 6 episodes. And it's been announced online that Melissa McBride, the one who plays Carol, she's originally supposed to be on the show, folks, but due to travel issues and that, she couldn't move to France. But now she wants to be a part of the show again, so somehow she's going to be added to it. Curious how she's going to be brought into France. Stay safe, everybody. Too sweet. Bye.